Hi, I hope everyone is doing all right. Everyone is doing all right? Okay. Now, as you can see by the title of the video, I'm not going to be giving you any good news because you see, if you don't know this, the United States continues to be in shutdown. At least today is Sunday, the 9th of November, 2025. And the situation remains absolutely the same. The government continues in shutdown. They are trying to move uh, dollars from one place to another to pay a couple of essential services. But the reality is this: public workers, workers that work for the federal state in the United States, they are not being paid. Okay, except for people in Congress. Okay, your congressman and congresswoman, eh, please, please don't panic, but they are being paid. This is the first thing I would like to talk about because I think it's very important to see to what degree they disrespect the average American worker. Because to me, this is just sorry. Let me just close my door because my kitty arrives. She opens the door and now she's trying to eat my hand. Okay, now as I was saying, because I think it's an absolute lack of respect to the common citizen to know that things like, for example, the so-called Obamacare, the SNAP benefits, all of that, okay, that has already been suspended. And the High Court has even confirmed that Mr. Trump can actually suspend them, even without having decided if they are going to be suspended or not in the bill that they are trying to push into Congress. And and that the Democrats are, and I think very rightful so, blocking from passing. They are saying no. You want to negotiate other things? We will negotiate other things, but there are things that cannot be negotiated, and this is one of them. But the fact remains is this: public employees, state workers, okay, federal workers, they are being forced to work without pay. And a lot of them are calling in sick or something like that and going off to do other types of work. Because people, human beings, they need to eat, they need to drink, they need energy for their abodes, they need to feed their kids, they need to feed themselves. Okay, in a, stop it. In a in one word, human beings need to live, and for the state to have such an attitude towards people, because the attitude is this: if they consider that is an essential service, then you have to work, even if they are not paying you. And it is extremely rare for that to happen in any European country. It can happen in a particular situation. For example, if you work as a court officer, the equivalent that, for example, in Portugal, being a court officer is we do the works, the we the Portuguese public workers that work in a court, they they do the work of a bailiff and of a clerk, meaning they do both works. Okay, it's not separated. Uh, when there is need for security, the so-called justice techniques, I think it's what they call them now, but we used to call a court, but they are court officers. They can use a weapon, a gun, a pistol, if it is needed. But usually, security is secured by police. Simple as this. When there's need for security, the police is called to secure any kind of high profile of high danger, so called, to speak court cases. But Those people that work in those services, just like the police and the military, they can be called to do extra work. It has to be justified without pay. Sometimes they are compensated in hours to rest, but in most cases they don't. For example, if a court officer, for example, is in a case, and it goes beyond their work hour, so to speak. For example, suppose the working hours, I think it's until 5 in the afternoon. Okay, from 9 to 5 in the afternoon with 1 hour lunch. And suppose that the court officer needs to remain in the courtroom assisting the judge. I don't know, uh, more 15, more 30, more 1 hour. Okay, when they are, for example, with the judge interviewing people that have been detained and all that type of things, they are not paid. Okay, and they are not compensated either. And it can happen also to the military. It can also happen to the police and a couple of more selected services. But that is an extraordinary occasion. It's not days on end without receiving pay. And if you go over here to Spain or to France or to Germany, any European country, even in the United Kingdom that is not a part of the EU, okay, that seldom happens. It can happen. Imagine you have an emergency situation right now. Okay, the services they need to continue to work, and sometimes people need to step up. People need to step up. Step up. They are, so to speak, the. I don't want to use the word militarized, but here they use the word of requisite, meaning that your services are under requisite for the state, and you have to work. Okay, even if you are on strike or whatever. Okay, that can happen, but it has to be extremely well justified, and the situation has to justify it too. Okay, it's not just because I don't know, you said so. You understand? There is nothing like that. But in the United States, the services basically, even if the and I have heard people telling me this, and please stop telling me that because I know. Okay, but afterwards they are going to be refunded of all the missing salaries. Okay, my friend, I know that. But right now, they need to eat, they need to drink, they need to fuel their cars, for example, because we know that public transportation is wonderful in the United States. Okay, they need to have all of those expenses, basic expenses that anyone needs to bloody live, and they don't care. And let me just close the door. Sorry. Uh, During my videos, all of these kitty events will happen, but I don't care. But as I was saying, these people need need to be paid as soon as possible because a lot of them, you have to come to work. Okay, then a lot of them are calling in sick, calling in sick days, whatever they need to do, and they're not sick. They are going to do, for example, an odd job somewhere to get some money, some cash, some moolah, okay, to go and buy food, to pay bills, to pay rent, to pay energy, to pay water bills, to pay everything they need to pay. And if you are in the United States, you won't contradict me when I say that the prices have spiked in your country, and they have spiked to a level that is not even comparable in Europe. And we have had a couple of spikes in prices due to the fact that we are having a war going on, and that war affects all aspects of our economy. Okay, it affects us, and the shit that your president is doing, it also affects us. But we have a central bank in the EU. That central bank keeps things under control, and it uh, it helps the local national banks to deal with situations. It helps with measures. It helps with funding. It helps as guarantee for loans. All of that. Okay, it helps. So you cannot look at the at if in economical terms. Don't look at the EU. Don't look at the EU as at an individual state in the EU. This is why when the dumb Brexiters from the UK start talking about comparing the UK and comparing it with Germany or compare it with France or whatever, they are dumbasses, okay? Because you cannot compare that. Look, to just a quick intermezzo before I continue with the United States situation. To compare the United Kingdom with Germany, for example, it's the same thing as two people, okay? Two people on a road. The United Kingdom is going alone in their motorbike, and Germany is sitting in a car passing by with France, with Spain, with Italy, with Portugal, whatever. Okay? Do you understand the comparison? You cannot compare. You cannot compare the economies. You can compare them at the average yield. There you can compare it, but they don't compare it with the average yield. Because if you are going to compare with the average, then you're going to have the countries that are doing the best. Portugal has not been doing that bad, for example, and you are going to have to compare with the worst ones, okay? And then you're going to have to compare it with the average one. That is the only way you can compare. And when we are talking about the United States, when you are comparing it with Europe, that is the way you have to compare it. Because, for example, Germany has been dealing with investments that they had to do related to their dependence on Russian oil, and that they have been progressively eliminating. Okay? And Italy, it also had the same problem, for example, and Austria, also the same problem, and Hungary, especially with that idiot in charge. Do you understand this? So, uh, when people start talking with me about GDP and all of that conversation, and GDP is a total wealth, and what how does it affect me positively is except in the price that my government can obtain for our debt in the international markets when they are selling bonds or whatever. That is the only area where it affects it. How does it affect me that, for example, the richest person in my country is earning, I don't know, 2% of our GDP, and for that our GDP is higher? Russia's GDP up until recently was extremely high because of the oil revenue, because of the oligarchs, and all of the money that was all of the wealth that was being produced in the country. But does that help the common citizen that goes to a supermarket that sometimes doesn't even have potatoes that have to be imported, despite all of those videos the YouTube algorithm keeps trying to stuck down our throat of pretty girls in Moscow saying everything is all right? Does that help those people that are paying 3, 4, 5 times, some cases 10 times more for rent, for services in like energy and water and sewage that don't work? Does that help them? And let me tell you this, Americans, does it help you that you have people that are stupidly sorry, people that are filthy rich in your country when some of you cannot even afford a place to stay or food? Does that help you? Because this is how you have to analyze an economy. You have to analyze an economy on. You remember? I don't know if you understand this, okay? But there is an old saying, and I remember it because when speaking in German with my grandfather, okay, and sometimes he would pop these ones out. But there is an old saying that says, okay, Amon Amart, they even made a song talking about that. But that is a very old saying around here. That is, a chain is only strongest as its weakest link. You understand this? When you are talking about your economy, you cannot be talking about, oh, look at that. We have, I don't know, 10 millionaires they have big swimming pools and this and that. Oh, and look at that. Look, we have high tech companies working here. No, tell me about the suburbs. Tell me about the number of your people that might be homeless. Tell me about the level of employment. Tell me about the level of hours that people need to work in order to survive. Tell me how many jobs a person has to have to support themselves. Tell me how much you pay for rent. Tell me how much you pay for water. Tell me how much you pay for energy. Tell me how much you pay for fuel. Tell me how much you pay for food. Tell me the quality of your food. This is the way you look into an economy and see what is wrong and what is right. You cannot just, security is also a part of it. For example, me, I'm lucky. Look, I live in a very safe country. And me personally, I live in a more or less very safe area. You know, if I feel like right now, I can just, I don't know, pick up my cell phone or whatever and a bottle of water. Yes, we drink water. Okay, and go take a walk in the woods near my city. No issues. And if you are a female, you can do the same. So, do you understand? This is also a part of the quality of life and of the, let's call it, the value of your country. If you if you tell me, for example, I live in an American town, okay, we have a lot of local produce. It's more or less accessible for us to pay, okay? I can walk in my town. I can use my bicycle in my town. Okay, I can do all. The only thing you are going to hear from me is good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you have that type of life. But if you are going to say your country, then you are also going to have to talk with me about the ghettos that still exist. You are going to have to talk with me about certain areas of your cities. You are also going to have to talk with me about the level of employment of those people, the quality of the food that they are able to afford when even fast food is getting expensive. You are going to have to talk with me about all of that. You cannot be, you cannot fall into the narrative of these people. These people want to grab a part of a reality and turn it into a narrative to convince you to vote for them. So it's very easy, for example, for someone around here to say, "Oh, we don't need this amount of immigrants. We can perfectly survive without them." And then you have industries, you have services, and you don't have enough people to man them. And it is true, a lot of people come, for example, from Brazil, from Argentina, from South America. A lot of people that I would say more than half of them, much more than half of them, have some kind of Portuguese ancestry. Some are even the sons or the grandsons or of Portuguese people. You have a lot of those people coming here. And that does not affect society that much because in one or two generations it melts back into the matrix, so to speak. All right, it's not that much of an issue. But then that is simply not enough. Then you have other people that come here and that find those niches where we need people to work in, and they are working in it. And you have to value those people too, even if they are brown, even if they are different from you. You have to try and do it because that is the only way for the society as a whole to survive. Okay? And as I told you before, countless times in my videos, I am not a lefty, like you want like to say it. I am not anything of like that. I think we need to control, like we are doing right now, for the first time in a decade, okay, to control immigration, to control who we allow to enter in our country. But we cannot simply do what the British are doing, that every time a boat arrives, they start screaming and blaming the boats for everything and say, oh, they are turning our country into an Islamic state or some shit like that. When I think only I saw the latest numbers, I think around 4 or 5% of the population is Muslim. Okay? And of those 4 and 5%, you bet your sweet ass then in 1 or 2 generations, you will be just like the rest of the other British that don't give a fuck about imaginary friends. Sorry for being blunt. But the blame is in organized religions. They are turning religion into something hateful. All of those preachers screaming middle age, be them Muslim, Christian, Jewish, whatever the hell they want to the whatever religion they want to propagate. Okay, they are turning organized religion into something obscene. Most of them. So in the future, you'll have a lot of more people that will not even want to talk about religion. And if you're saying, oh, when hard times come, they are going to run back to God. No, no. We, right now, we had a lot of crisis. The churches stayed the same. Nice places to go into to pray sometimes. I like to go into a church. I like I like it. I like to enter into the church, to sit down, to breathe in, to pray. And I was raised Catholic and pagan German. But to be enslaved and to such stupid things. I keep seeing these religious commentaries. Sometimes even in one on my video, I had at least one or two talking about God this and God that, and I think to myself, but are you that weak-minded that you cannot use in your own logic, you cannot use your God-given reasoning and freedom of choice to do right to yourself and to others and to society as a whole, to the world, that you need God to, I don't know, spank you for you to do what you should do, or that you need to blame a devil for other people's evil. Do you need that? Do you need that grudge? And the Americans, man, you use and abuse that word. It it completely disgusts me when I hear Americans talk about God, talk about Christian values, talk about all of that. Okay, Christian values don't tell you to get brown people and stick them in camps. Christian values do not give permission to ICE to do what I have seen them doing, and it's not bloody AI. Okay, I'm not that stupid, unlike you, that some of you seem to fall into that little rabbit hole, throwing young women to the floor, disrobing them in their eagerness to lock them up, okay? Picking up a small weak man like it was something very manly and shoving him into the back of an unmarked car, van, and to hear your president that has been accused, I will say accused because I don't know the details, I don't want to know them, of being a pedophile, or being a rapist, or being a sexual offender, all of that, talking about how Christian he is, okay? Or that girl, that pretty blonde girl, Levitt, right? That stands with a cross, preaching middle age and preaching hatred and calling herself a Christian. You call yourselves a Christians? We're not Christians. You are fucking heathens. Okay? A Christian would never do what you do. Like my father used to tell me, a Christian is not known for his words. A Christian is known for his actions. The way you act, that tells me if you are a Christian or not, or if you are a decent person, which is far more important to me. But to do what you do, now, I rented off a bit, but today I want to also talk with you about the American airports. Well, if you don't know, your tiny secretary of the Interior or Transportation or whatever, he talked about it. Well, first of all, these public employees have been for 5 weeks since pay. That's the first thing I want to tell you. I even took notes. Let me just show it so that you know what I'm talking about. See, I just took a couple of notes so that I don't mistake myself in the numbers. But okay, airport security all depends on people. Okay, you need people to do that. You cannot do that with AI. You cannot do that just some guy, some fat guy with a cappuccino and a donut sitting in a little tiny room seeing screens. No, you need people. You need people to examine luggage. You need people to talk with passengers. You need people to watch what is happening. You need people for all of those services. And also, you need people to carry the bags, even if they are putting them into a conveyor belt. Okay, you need people for all of that. And those people are not being paid. Okay, forced work. And as I was saying before, and this was also in that report that I saw, pretty pretty accurate one, okay, and it was made by Americans, okay. You have people that are missing work and calling in sick just to get other jobs in order to stay afloat. Because rent in the United States, I heard, especially in urban areas, it's pretty high. Let's just say that we have somewhat of a housing crisis here, but you don't have a housing crisis, okay? You have a housing catastrophe, from what I am seeing here. Okay. Now, also another important point that I want to share with you is this: the money to pay these people, it's there. You understand this? The money is available there to pay for all these people that have been for 5 weeks without pay. But since people in the Congress don't want to liberate it, so to speak, okay, then these people are not getting paid. And no, it's not the Democrats that are holding up the Congress and the budget. It's the Republicans that want their precondition, their precondition for this to happen, for the standstill of the budget to happen, is as look, it's like this. The Republicans say you are going to sign here, and it's as we say. We won't negotiate nothing. We will do whatever we want, and you will sign. This is what the Republicans are telling the Democrats, and the Democrats are telling them, no, we need to negotiate this, we need to negotiate that, and we need to do this and that. And the Republicans, like dumb mules, they are no, 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 nay, 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 nay. This is what is happening. I know this is a childish representation, but this is exactly what is happening. And if you're going to talk with me about all of that bullshit about Democrats and Republicans being the same, go sit on a curve, okay? Do not say go sit in something else. They are not the same. They are not acting the same. Both of them, they might have corrupt people. Yes, they do. But they are not acting the same. Read what the Democrats are saying and read what the Republicans are saying. And then fact check them both, like I did. And the Democrats are right. In this occasion, completely right. Okay? Now, if you don't know this, your Chinese Secretary of Transportation has ordered 5% cuts in flights. In mid November, if this continues, 10% of flights, and it can go as high as 20%. Now, I don't have to tell you, Americans, that Thanksgiving is around the corner, the busiest time in the industry. Then you have Christmas, have the New Year, you have all of those times where uh, air transportation in a country with large distances and no public transportation. Okay, I talked with a woman recently, and we were just chatting in a chat of another channel, and she was telling me it was where she was in the Midwest to go and visit her family in the East Coast, for example. It was almost four times as expensive using, for example, the train, and it would take a long time, or a bus or something like that, than to just go to just pay an air ticket, an airplane ticket, okay, and go, and it would take hours. So you continue to have this situation where you need air transportation because you don't have any kind. For example, unlike Europe, okay, even Portugal is building one right now. You don't have the high speed trains. Unlike Spain, unlike France, okay, you don't have it. So, and I don't understand it. Why? Because you have the money to invest in it, but apparently, uh, well, someone must be making a lot of money in air transportation and all, and in cars, in roads, so right, fuel. Oh yes, the fossil fuel cartel. Sorry, I forgot about them. But you have people that are rebooking flights, of course. You have the airlines that have to pay refunds and change flights. And you have the I took a note of this so I wouldn't forget. The four largest air companies in the US have a combined revenue of close to $200 billion. This is the money that goes into your GDP, into the value of your debt, into the value of your bonds that your government wants to sell to refund itself because you have a debt of 3 trillion, a lot of trillions, so to speak. Go watch, go see it. Okay, and I I made I wrote this quote because I think it's very important. The blank cut of flights is also not appropriate to what is happening, the lack of people. You should cut flights case by case, airport by airport, because you see, if you just simply make a blank cut, it hurts everyone. When in some cases you would not need to do that in smaller airports. For example, you cannot compare an airport like LaGuardia, for example, with a smaller airport in the middle of the United States. But this way you are going to damage all of the airports, all of the air companies around in your entire country. Okay? And you have to understand that the reason why the flights are reduced, it's for the security of the people that are using the airports, for the passengers. Because if you cannot ensure that everyone will be secured, then you cannot have the fights. Okay, it's as simple as this. And you cannot stretch it, okay? If you don't have the people to do it, and if the remaining people that are there probably working overtime, they are more tired. You have the air traffic controllers, okay? You have the ground personnel. You have everyone. You have security. And you have everyone more tired and and stressed out. Because imagine this, you are going to work day by day and no pay. And I don't know, I didn't study it, but I think that they are paid every 2 weeks or something like that, or weekly, because I don't understand it. But if that is the case, it's even worse. Because at least in Europe, and I'm talking about the EU right now. I don't know how. I don't have. I'm not very certain on in the UK how it is every case, or if it's only public employees or whatever. But in Europe, you are paid monthly. Okay, meaning you receive your salary in a determined day of a month, and that goes for private and public employees. Everyone usually it's like that, and because it's easier and it's logical. Okay, because for example, companies and state or organisms, state entities, like the cabinets and all of that, they can just make their accounting, so to speak, every month, month by month. Okay, and it's easier for everyone, for the accountants, for the companies, for business in general. Okay, if a business knows they are not going to have to be continuously paying and then declaring it to their accountants or the accountants to make the payments to the social security system, to the healthcare system, to the pension service, all of that. Okay, if they don't know that, it's very easy for them. Reason why business is booming in Europe, unlike in the United States where investment is running away. But of course, it helps that some lady in Illinois thought it would be nice to say that the Korean workers that were training American workers in Illinois were all aliens. I don't understand that word, aliens, illegal aliens. That's the weirdest term I ever heard. Around here, we just say illegal immigrants or something like that, or but the person, it's a person, an individual is never illegal. How are you going to? But I would say that first of all of this shutdown is completely avoidable. But the key issue here is this: if Congress is in session, they are going to have to vote for the Epstein files to come out and other things. And I think, I would say I'm sure that this shutdown was surgically requested by the person that is telling the Republicans to do what he wants them to do. Take your own conclusions out of it. So, the person that is telling them to do this, the Republicans that are the Republican Congress people, that also represent American citizens that are not getting paid, they would rather sacrifice you and your family instead of just doing their bloody job. They do not care about you. They do not care about your families. They do not care about your welfare. They do not care about your life. You are nothing for them. If a politician did this to me, I would never vote for them again, and I would go out into the streets and call them for the bastards they are. Bastards. a strong word that I don't like to use, but they are bastards. Because only a bastard would do this to ordinary, normal people that are honest, that are working every day. And when crime begins to increase more and more in your communities, remember to say thank you to them. Because you see, when a person reaches a state of desperation, they will steal, they will kill, they will loot. It's human nature. It's the urge to survive, no matter how organized a society is. You can have a society that is perfectly organized, but that depends in a lot of failsafes, in a lot of successive systems to keep people minimally controlled and healthy, so to speak. Let's call it like this, or happy, whatever you want to call it. But when you have a society like the United States, that you don't have any failsafes, you just have brute force, it won't work. And think about maybe someone wants civil unrest. Maybe someone wants you to be civil, wants to have civil unrest, wants to have people looting, people instead of gathering themselves in communities and helping themselves, helping the weakest of them. They want confusion, they want chaos. Think about that and think who it would benefit. I keep telling you this, follow the money trail, okay? An easy way to see who is behind an event. Just like, for example, see who it is that you cannot speak ill of. Okay, what country, what entity, what person, whatever, company, I don't know, anything. That that person or company or country or whatever that you cannot speak bad of, that you cannot contradict, that is the person that is controlling you. Well, but I'm just asking questions here. Well, sorry for my little rants, okay, but I decided to keep them in the video. No, I seldom edit my videos, okay. Maybe I will make some videos that are a bit more professional with other things, with intros, with flashy colors, whatever. I don't know. But right now it's just me and the camera talking with you, okay. So this is what I got. Talking with you, like I was saying in my early videos, and I will continue to repeat this. Imagine that you and me, we are sitting at a cafe. Okay, we are having a coffee or a beer or whatever he fancies you. Okay, a cup of tea, I don't know, and we are just drinking and talking. This is what we are doing here. And talking is something that a lot of people have forgotten how to do it, how to speak with other people, how to communicate with other human beings. And I think that is the root cause of a lot of problems that we have, a lot of fear. Because if your neighbor is different from you and you do not talk with him, and him does not talk with you, you don't know yourselves. You don't know who is next door to you. And from experience, that's not a good situation to be in. And I'm not very talkative, okay? I'm pretty much a bit of an introvert, but you need to keep a civil position towards others in society, or else you are going to end up in the situations that we are seeing in the United States, in Europe, in a lot of places in the world. Okay, it's not just us. It's not just the so-called Western world. Okay, it's not just Russia. This evil is everywhere, if you want to call it like that. Well, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you have a great Sunday. I'm going to upload this one right now, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. Okay.